Khadija.
Good afternoon, everyone. It is true that the discussions and narratives pertaining to identity politics and multiculturalism, they have developed into some sort of cult and dogmas. Everyone who dares to question or criticize these fanatical viewpoints is branded as racist, far-right, or Islamophobic. And it is also a tragedy that we are still debating whether a discussion on such important matters is possible in modern-day Britain, where ideals of enlightenment, such as democracy, tolerance of opposing views, diversity of opinion, and secularism are not only upheld, but also embraced in their entirety. Historically, identity politics has played an important role in advancing civil rights. But what we see now is some sort of fractured, flawed, and toxic form of identity politics, which is exclusivist, reactionary, cultish, illiberal, intolerant, sectarian, and claims to be inflexible, rigid, immutable, and stubborn. Another lamentable aspect of this current predicament is that people who have long been supportive of liberal values, they feel compelled to abandon them due to the extreme woke beliefs which have embedded in the left. It's a sad reality, but I think we have to come to terms with that. The unrelenting demands for conformity and draconian cancel culture of the woke left, I think this has pushed people towards more divisive and toxic ideologies. That being said, still it is highly disingenuous to lay all the blame of all the ills of our society at the door of misguided liberal fringe. The rise of religious sectarianism is also very much important in today's scenario, especially political scenario, when we talk about identity politics. Therefore, the criticism, as we see that any criticism on religious belief has been framed with the accusation of victimization and discrimination against religious people, and deliberate attempts have been made to silence people and to use British laws pertaining to religious freedom as leverage to force people and institutions into silence and into compliance. In short, religious identity and political grievance has been used to subvert British democratic values. Therefore, I would say it should not come as a surprise when sectarian rebel rousers, they came out as representative of British ethnic minorities during the election campaign, and we see people how they use their religious identity to sway people's opinion or to control people's opinion in a very manipulative way. They deliberately, these bad faith actors, they deliberately foster antagonism against other individuals and groups who refuse to toe the line. And I think this has encouraged sectarian politics in Britain for all the bad reasons, for all the wrong reasons. And I will also emphasize that what we are facing as a society is a movement of reckoning, because many of us see these problems that, like these conflicts, foreign conflicts, and these problems that have been imported from Indian subcontinent. I think we need to understand one thing, that these issues are not imported or foreign issues anymore. A barrage of divisive, hateful, and vile propaganda is generated, disseminated, it is promoted, amplified, and it is manifested in the actions of people here in this country. These problems have taken root in British society, and we need to look at this problem as such, instead of just avoiding responsibility and accountability by saying that these are foreign issues and foreign conflict. We need to understand that there are people here in this society, second and third generation. I would not call them immigration, as my friend suggested, they are Brits. So these are the people who are very much, attached to their identities, and these are tribal identities, and they want to push that narrative into political social discourse. And I would say that despite of this swift justice that we just observed recently, it's very obvious that the lessons have not been learned from the riots in Leeds, clashes in Leicester, and summer riots in August recently. Today, the country is divided along political, ethnic, and religious lines, and it is ironic that the desire to avoid the discussion around such important issues has been euphemized as community relation. That is a tragedy of our time, really. And sadly, I would say turning a blind eye to people's legitimate concerns will only give more opportunities to the far right and Islamists to manipulate people and pursue their own horrific ends. I think it's time to reflect and reaffirm that it is possible to criticize Islam without endorsing prejudice against Muslims, and that it is reasonable to discuss the issues around immigration and integration without being bigoted. It is also necessary to defend secular democratic values by opposing the absolutism of the misguided liberal fringe. And if the peaceful coexistence that has characterized British cultural diversity at its best is to survive, we urgently need to stop apologizing for the humane, secular, democratic values we as a society stand for. Thank you.